तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, first of all, I'd like to beg the blessings from the senior devotees who are sitting here, so that the right words can come, so that I can inspire myself in my practice of Krishna consciousness. So today, actually present now, you know what you call Sarvam Pro was supposed to come, but because of health reasons, I was asked to take something. So since today we are celebrating Gundicha Marjanam, Riva! So we are going to celebrate today Gundicha Marjanam in temple. So we'll be discussing something from Chaitanya Charitamrita, from Madhya Leela, chapter number 12, of the pastimes of the Gundicha Marjana, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed it in Jagannath Puri. So we all know that coming week on July 2nd we have Ratha Yatra Mahotsav in our temple. So you know what you call, today we are celebrating Gundicha Marjan. So before learning the pastime, what are lessons we can learn from the example set by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Let us see, what does this Ratha Yatra means. So Prabhupada tells Ratha Yatra in simple words mean welcoming the Lord or bringing the Lord back into our heart. Correct? So if we see ourselves, we are there in this material world for so many lifetimes. Correct? So why is it that, though the Lord, the Supreme Lord is sitting in our heart, but still we are not able to take darshan of Him? So it is just like, what you call the altar. Hare Krishna. Okay, I think. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, what you call, though we are there in this material world for so many lifetimes, but still, we are not able to take darshan of the Lord who is rightly situated in our heart. Correct? So this Rath Yatra, mainly the significance is, how we can take darshan of the Lord who is right sitting in our heart. But now what has happened, why we are not able to take darshan of the Lord though rightly he is situated in our heart is because of dirt, because of anarthas. So now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 534 years before, to give us an understanding or lesson that how important it is for all of us to welcome the Lord back into our heart. He started this festival called as Gundicha Marjan. So Gundicha Marjan mainly means, cleaning the temple hall. So our heart, we sing this prayer, Mama Mana Mandire Raho Nishi Deen. Krishna Murari, oh Shri Krishna Murari. Oh my dear Lord Shri Krishna Murari, you are situated rightly in our heart, but I am not able to take darshan of you. So let us see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through this pastime of Gundicha Marjan, is giving us so many lessons, especially for a devotee, how he has to deal with the different devotees in the association. So it's very important for us to learn from the activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how we can interact with the devotees while doing services. So many times we also do this service of cleaning this temple hall in the night time. So at around 8:30 like that, we come here and clean the temple hall. So many things has to be taken care. It's not just you just come directly and clean the temple hall. It's not like that. So many activities has to be taken care. So when we are there, in service among the devotees, lot of things come. Like say for example, cooperation. It's not like okay, one I can play as a single player. No, rather we have to deal with the other devotees. So when the question of dealing with other devotees come, lot of complexities come. So how is that is, we'll see going through one by one shloka. So I was telling that, our heart is filled with so much of dirt. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, understanding this, has come to give us the easiest process to cleanse the heart. And what is that? Chanting the holy names of the Lord, correct? So by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, he has said Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, that the heart will get cleansed by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So many times when we are engaged in the service of the Lord, the conception is that the quality of Krishna consciousness, people think that the quality of Krishna consciousness is dependent on the activity of the Krishna conscious practice. That how do others consider me as advanced in Krishna consciousness? So somebody may think, if you sit on the Vyasasana and say give class, or if you are standing inside the altar and do worship of the Lord, then they consider, okay, this person has progressed in the practice of bhakti. But no. The quality of Krishna consciousness is not dependent on the activity. It is dependent on the consciousness. It is dependent on the consciousness of the person. What consciousness does the person have while he is rendering the service? And there are so many pastimes, where this Dukhi, who was there, in Jagannath Puri, correct? So when, it was in Navadvip. So when the Abhishekam for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was happening on the Vyasasana, by all the devotees, Dukhi used to bring a pot of water from behind and give it to the devotees. And the devotees used to pour water on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But though she was not directly pouring water or Abhishekam for the Lord, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took recognition of Dukhi, correct? And he named her as Sukhi. So in Krishna consciousness, what is the quality of our consciousness? Whether the consciousness is high or low. So this matters a lot. So it may be even cleaning the floor or standing inside the altar and worshipping the Lord. For the Lord, it is same, if the consciousness is proper. But if the consciousness is not proper, in this pastime we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving broomsticks to the hands of the devotees. Correct? So holding a broomstick in the hand is not like something very appreciable. I got today through 2 broomsticks to clean the temple hall. Nobody is going to propagate that loudly. Correct? Na? Correct? Na? Is there anyone like, no, I got 3 broomsticks, I got 4 broomsticks? Nobody is going to tell that. So catching the broomstick is something like, no, very, very menial service. Very, very menial service. So let us see the shlokas now from Chaitanya Charitamrita, what they speak about. So we'll go verse by verse. I think it's not coming. Do you notice? Please repeat after me. प्रेमोल्लास शुदेन लयन कृष्ण नाम भक्तगण कृष्ण कहे करे निज काम.
भक्तगण कृष्ण कहे करे निज काम.
Somebody can read translation.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleansed the temple in great jubilation, chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna all the time. Similarly, all the devotees were also chanting at the same time, performing their respective duties.
Yeah, so from now onwards here, just to give you a prelude what happened before this, that the whole pastime of how Prataprudra got the mercy, by getting the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his son. So Ramananda Rai, what happened is, in this chapter, that Ramananda Rai wanted to take leave from his job because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he had met him in Rajamundri, he had asked him, to come to Jagannath Puri and perform your pastimes in my whatever pastimes I'm doing, participate in that. So that time what happens is Ramananda Rai directly goes to Prataprudra and he tells that please relieve me from my service of I think he was governor. I think he was governor. So he said please relieve me from this service. So that time, you see, usually, say anyone wants to engage in the service of the Lord. Like say many times, say on the weekdays, if some festival comes, or sometimes we have to go for yatra for 1 week or 2 weeks. Usually it happens that devotees go to their boss and asks, we have Janmashtami coming up, and I wanted a leave for 3-4 days. What will the boss say usually? What will the boss say?
3 weeks before.
Huh?
3 weeks before we should tell.
Okay, you had to tell 3 weeks before. Then, I think all of your bosses are, what you call Krishna conscious. I think they allow you for practice of Krishna conscious. But my boss was not like that when I was working. So he used to tell, no, you can work till, say 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and then you can take leave. It was like that. So, but here we see Prataprudra, he's telling, I'm so happy that you have got a desire to go and engage in the service of the Lord. So from now onwards, I declare that whatever salary you used to get before, now it will be doubled. Not only doubled, your family also will be taken care. And not only that, can you please tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give me also an opportunity to serve him directly? Is there any boss who has said like this in the history past? Nobody else, except other than Prataprudra. So that was the, Krishna conscious king. If only he could be our boss, that would have been so nice. So what happens is, Ramananda Rai goes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and uses so many tactics, to give his mercy to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But there are so nice shlokas that tell that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells, no. What will the people think if a sannyasi goes to the house of the king? People will think that they will be able to see a black mark on the white dhoti kurta. So that will be like that. So it's impossible to go. So then somehow or other Ramananda Rai convinces, and at last they bring the son of Prataprudra. And by seeing the son of what you call, Pratap Rudra, what happens is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives mercy to him. And after giving mercy, what happened is, this boy, till yesterday he was normal, ordinary boy. He was black in color, he was ordinary boy. But as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu touched the prince, the symptoms of ecstatic love immediately manifested in the body of this child. Not only that, this boy was perspiring, trembling, tears, he was stunned and jubilated. And after going through all this, the boy, he stood and he loudly, started to call out, Krishna, 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 Krishna. He was calling out and he was dancing. So all the devotees were shocked that, how come just by the touch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this boy could get so much of ecstatic love. So he said to the boy, please keep coming daily to my place and be with me. And by seeing this, Pratap Rudra became very, very happy. And then after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, since Ratha Yatra is coming, we all should do Gundicha Marjam, that is the cleansing of temple. So the first lesson what we learn from this is that, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that he washed and cleansed the temple in great jubilation. So what do we learn from this is enthusiasm. We learn enthusiasm, utsaha. So in Krishna consciousness, as per Rupa Goswami, verse number 3, Utsahad Nishchayat Dhairyat Tattat Karma Pravartanat. So first quality that is required for advancing in Krishna consciousness, the first quality is enthusiasm. So what is enthusiasm? There are so many pastimes with respect to Srila Prabhupada, how he was so enthusiastic. So so many pastimes are there. Though I thought to tell one, but another thing is coming to my mind. So once what happened in Bombay, this was in the year 1976, most that time. So there was a Pandal program that was happening. So Jayadut Maharaj was standing there on the stage and he was reading a purport from second canto. So what happened is, usually it was supposed that they will read one statement and Prabhupada will speak for minutes together. So here it was that Prabhupada was not in a state to speak because he has become very, old and he was not so good in good health. So what had happened is Jayadut Maharaj was reading, two paragraphs. And after that, Prabhupada used to speak one or two sentences. So after 10 minutes, Jayadut Maharaj used to read one paragraph. And Prabhupada used to speak for, some 2 to 3 minutes. And after few, another, 15-20 minutes, what happened is Jayadut Maharaj was speaking only 2 to 3 lines and Prabhupada was interrupting and speaking for 10 minutes. And at one point of time, it so happened where Jayadut Maharaj spoke one line and Prabhupada spoke the purport further for half an hour. He spoke for half an hour. And afterwards, Prabhupada did not stop only. He continued the whole class, he gave the program. Though he was not in good health. Not only this, even in Vrindavan, in the year 1975, somewhere between April, May, during that time, Prabhupada had come to Vrindavan to see that the temple construction is, to open the temple, but it was not built by Subala Maharaj. So, what happened is, during that time when he was staying in Vrindavan, Prabhupada fell sick. And he was so, weak, he was not able to put even the dress of himself. Devotees had to help him to put it. But what had happened in Vrindavan, there was one governor from Delhi who is called as Akbar Ali Khan. He had come to Vrindavan for some purpose. So Prabhupada, when he got the news, they arranged that if he also can come for the temple. Correct. So recently we also had seen that here Geloji had come as a governor. So same like that. So we can see same thing. How when Geloji came, His Holiness Jagat Swami Guru Maharaj was there. He came all the way on this one. So something like that. What you call in Vrindavan. When this governor had come, Akbar Ali Khan, Prabhupada's health was not at all good. It was not at all good. He could not even, lie down on the bed. He was suffering from so much sickness, and the devotees had proclaimed that all around the world, devotees should do chanting. They should do chanting so that the health of Prabhupada can recover. So there, Prabhupada gives one very important instruction to the devotees. He said to devotees that if devotees, I am falling sick because devotees are not following the rules and regulations, especially many of my leaders are not getting up in the morning at 4 o'clock and they are following morning program. He said this. That was the instance he said that if devotees do not follow the morning program, especially disciples, it will lead to the ill health of the spiritual master. So he said that because of that, then everyone was practicing. So that time the governor came and Prabhupada said, I will go to meet the governor. Devotee said, Prabhupada, it's impossible. How can you go? If you go, what will happen? First of all, we are worried that something may happen to your life. It's not a good time. But Prabhupada said, no, I have to go and meet him. So they arranged for all the things, tables, everything. Welcome was done, and police also came and they did all security. You may be knowing how all those things happen. The whole road was emptied when the governor came. So same thing, whatever Vrindavan temple is there, they diverted the traffic and everything happened. So governor came. So Prabhupada, when he wanted to go and meet him, it is said that Prabhupada took 5 minutes to apply tilak. He took 5 minutes. Literally, how much time it may take to put tilak? How much time it can take to put tilak? 5 seconds. Very good. It may take how much? Maybe not more than 1 minute, correct? Or maybe not more than 30 seconds usually. So Prabhupada took almost 5 minutes. You can understand how much ill health was. But devotees were shocked that how much he was determined and enthusiastic to go and meet. So he went, sat with the governor on the table, on the dais, and his legs and hands were trembling. Devotees on the one side, they were seeing the guest, and their other eye was on Prabhupada. Something should not happen to Prabhupada. And the Akbar Ali Khan governor, he went and spoke for some 4-5 minutes on how to industrialize India and bring more industry and all that. And after that, Prabhupada went, and Prabhupada stood up for 20 minutes and gave talk to all the audience there. So devotees were shocked that how is Prabhupada able to do this? He took 5 minutes to apply tilak, but he's standing and speaking without any difficulty for 20 minutes. Shri Radha Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai, Nitya Chaitanya Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So devotees were shocked. So this is called as enthusiasm. This is called as enthusiasm. So if you read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, we get infused with enthusiasm. How to serve the movement of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So next, what happened is after this, yeah, please repeat. Duli dusharatanu dekite shobhana.
Duli dusharatanu dekite shobhana.
Kaha kaha shrujale kare samarjana.
Kaha kaha shrujale kare samarjana.
So this shloka teaches us about absorption and devotion when we are engaged in service of the Lord. Yeah, somebody read the translation, please.
The entire beautiful body of the Lord was covered with dust and dirt. In this way, it became transcendently beautiful. At times, when cleansing the temple, the Lord shed tears, and in some places, he even cleansed it with those tears.
So see here, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was serving so much that his whole body was covered with dust and dirt. Sometimes whenever devotees cook, in the voice, when devotees are staying together, easily we can tell who is kitchen in charge, or who is the one devotee who is serving in the kitchen most. How? You will see his dhoti kurta or whatever, filled with yellow color marks. Correct? I don't know whether you know or not. Usually I remember that, that the shirt which falls below the stage water, it will be fully filled with yellow color. So that's usually common. So it means he has engaged so much in the service of the Lord. Correct? So the lesson that we can learn here is a devotee should render his service with complete absorption and devotion. Correct? No? So this also is very much seen in the life of our acharyas. So we'll go to verse number 88. Yeah, please repeat. Trinaduli jinkura saba ekatra kariya.
Trinaduli jinkura saba ekatra kariya.
Bahirva se laya pilaya bahira kariya.
Bahirva se lana pilaya bahira kariya.
Translation, somebody can do?
After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu collected all the straw, dust and grains of sand in one place, he gathered it all in his cloth and threw it outside.
So the lesson that we can learn here is to be systematic in our service. You see, he's collecting it gathering it together, and then this place. You know what you call. You should have intelligence if you have to serve. If you want to do any service in efficient way, in less time, more service can be done. You should be knowing systematic. Correct? No? So same thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching here. So you see, recently Bhanu Swami Maharaj was telling in one of the classes on that day evening about organization and expansion. He was telling if any spiritual organization, after that main prominent person leaves the world, if that spiritual organization can sustain for 10 years, it's a big achievement. Nobody can, do such a wonder. It's a wonder. But he was telling what Prabhupada has done is, completely, what you call out, nobody can think somebody can. It has been almost more than 50 years, and this Krishna consciousness movement is expanding like anything. So that's because how Prabhupada was so systematic in his services or systematic in his activities that he has done. So properly that, yes, the BBT has to be separate, the ISKCON has to be separate, so that something happens, even still the books can continue. And somebody just takes one book and reads, again he can continue my mission. So this, what you call, one reporter asked to Prabhupada that, how long will your movement will continue? He said 10,000 years. For the next 10,000 years, my movement will continue on. So you can understand how he was, so particular in just 10 to 12 years, how he did all his services in such a way that Krishna conscious movement can go on and on and on. Correct now? So similarly, say when we do the service of cleaning the temple hall, we should be efficient enough in just given point of time. I can do more cleaning. So that is called as systematic. So that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching here. So the third lesson is, while rendering devotional service, one should be very organized and set up systems for others to follow. It should not happen like, say one notable person comes and he does something remarkable or travels on the bike for thousands and thousands of kilometers all over the world, whatever bike, and say does, some kind of charismatic works, and after he leaves, gone case. It's not like that. Service means not like that. It means that, not only he does, he brings others also in the forefront so that the movement can continue. During the lifetime of Prabhupada, there are so many instances. Like for example, once he asked Vishnujan Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada was there in the temple hall, and Prabhupada said, you give the class, I will hear. So Prabhupada was sitting in the audience, and the disciple of Prabhupada was giving class. You understand? Not only that, in the end years, we see that Prabhupada, used to take the side of the materialist person and used to debate with the disciples. And at last, teach them how to, deal with the atheistic people. So that is, how systematic. And that's why we see, I don't know how many of you seen that, like for example, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, the way, he refutes the other philosophies, and how Krishna is Supreme Personality. That video is there. How many of you? I don't know how many of you see. He has made an altar where all the demigods are kept, and he's telling, what about this? How much they're getting so much of energy is because by association with Srila Prabhupada. So this verse teaches us about being systematic. Please repeat. प्रभु कहे के कत करियाच सम्मर्जन,
प्रभु कहे के कत करियाच सम्मर्जन,
तृणादुली देखिले जनिब परिश्रम,
तृणादुली देखिले जनिब परिश्रम.
Please the translation.
The Lord then told the devotees, I can tell how much you have labored and how well you have cleansed the temple, simply by seeing all the straw and dust you have collected outside.
So it is said, the dust that was collected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like a mountain, and all the dust that was collected by other devotees was not at all equivalent to that. So much this one is there. So now what lesson that we learn from here is, to set goals. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before they get into the service, he's telling that what they have to achieve. Correct? No? So now in Krishna consciousness, many times devotees spend their time without setting goals. Like say for example, at this point of time we can think, after 4 years, if I see myself at what stage I have to be. So it's a goal, that has to be set. Correct now? So many times we spend years together, but we don't set the goals. You know what I have to achieve. How many Prabhupada books I can finish? Like say, now you may be reading some Prabhupada book. After how much of time you want to complete it? If you don't set the goal, there are devotees who tell that ki Bhagavatam is so big. It's 18 volumes and almost more than 20,000 pages. It's impossible to read in one lifetime. There are devotees because they don't set the goals. It is said. A person becomes a sage by reading page by page. So if you set goals, okay, every day, if I read, it is said, if somebody reads Bhagavatam, say for, every day if they read 20 pages, in 2 years they can complete the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. If somebody reads, say Bhagavad Gita, something like, 10 pages, within months they can finish whole Bhagavad Gita. So if you set goals, only then you can finish the service. Correct? If you don't set a goal, like say by 4 o'clock, altar is going to open today by say 4:30. So by the time we have to complete. So if you don't have that goal in the mind, then what will happen? You end up in doing the service for longer and longer in time. So that is not good. So the lesson that we can learn is from this is that one has to do sincere hard work in order to please Krishna through the service. And another lesson is that the devotee should know what goals they have to reach when they're engaged in the service. If you don't give the goal, like say, we have many programs, like say, for example, say Chaitanya Youth Festival is there. So say, tomorrow was supposed to be, but we postponed that. So say, next week is Chaitanya Youth Festival or some program is there. So if you don't have a goal that, okay, by Monday the video and the poster has to be ready, what will happen? What will happen? What will happen? The video will be made on Friday and on Sunday is the program. What will you be able to do? Correct? It's impossible. Say you have to do some program in the college. If you don't take the permissions for the hall, correct? What will happen at the end of the moment? The whole program may collapse. So we need to have proper goal, proper planning. So that's called, goals should be set and evaluate, and the evaluation parameters should be communicated clearly to all the devotees involved in particular project or service. So the next comes Ye mata abhyantara karilama jana Punaha sabha kare dila kariya vantana
After the inside of temple was cleaned, the Lord again allotted areas for the devotees to clean.
So this is called as delegation, proper delegation and teamwork. So there has to be one devotee who has to tell, you have to do this, you have to do, otherwise everyone will stand with broomstick and nobody, will do the other consecutive services. Yeah, read translation.
The Lord then ordered everyone to cleanse the inside of the temple very perfectly by taking final dust, straws, and grains of sand and blowing them outside.
So this is called as thoroughness. That whatever service we do, it has to be thoroughly done. We should not live here and there. Like say, for example, say when it is said Gundicha Marjan, that every nook and corner of the temple has to be seen that there is no dust left. So that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing here. Please read.
After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas cleansed the temple for the second time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see the cleansing work.
When the temple was being swept, about 100 men stood ready with filled water pots, and they simply awaited the Lord's order to throw the water from them.
So see, they were eager to be engaged in the service of as per the command of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Correct? Yeah.
As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for water, all the men immediately brought the 100 water pots which were completely filled and delivered them before the Lord.
So now see here, one thing that we can see here is that, usually when there are services, there is a natural tendency for all of us to see some service as great and some service as low, or we call it as, limelight and being in the background. So now here somebody may think, there were people who used to bring the empty, who used to take the empty pots to fill the water, and there were devotees who used to bring filled water pots. Correct, na? So now somebody may tell, oh, he is getting to hand over the filled water pots to the Lord. But what about the service that I am getting? I have to stand somewhere out of Jagannath Puri temple to fill the water pot and give. Correct? So like say for example, many times say when Abhishekam is happening, correct, in the temple. So that time we may think that, oh, that devotee who is pouring the Charanamrut on the deities is more fortunate. Whereas me, here I have to simply remove the flowers and put it in the basket. Somebody may think like that. But actually if he does not do that, then how will the Lord get the flowers to be put on himself? That's impossible. So that's why I'm telling that the quality of Krishna consciousness is not the activity, it is consciousness. It is consciousness. That is very, very important. And what you call once it so happened that in one of the temples during Prabhupada time, devotees were taking a lot of time to make the altar for the deities, and they had not set it properly. So that time what happened is, the stage that they had made where the deities has to get, it was not so good. So Prabhupada saw this, and though he was an old person, but he stood there, and suddenly when they were installing the deities, the whole altar was about to collapse. So that time when one of the pillar or one of the stand that was there, when that broke, Prabhupada personally with his hand hold up that and they renovated that whole back. Yeah, please repeat this verse. Shri Haste Karena Simhasanera Marjana.
Shri Haste Karena Simhasanera Marjana.
Prabhura Age Jala Ai Deya Bhakta Gana.
Prabhura Age Jala Ai Deya Bhakta Gana.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to wash the sitting place of Lord Jagannath with his own hands, and all the devotees began to drink water to the Lord.
Yeah, so now what happens is, sometimes when we are in this position of say being leader or whatever, sometimes we may become too humble that that service should not be done. So the lesson that we can learn here is, while leading a service in a team, one need not discriminate about who does critical tasks. Important task must be done by the leader. There is no need to show false humility. So this we call it as discrimination. Means in the body, all the different parts of the body can do different services. Correct, no? So the head can do the service what it can do, or the leg can do what service. So this is called varnashrama, where whatever ability a person can do, he can engage in the service of the Lord. So similarly, while when one is engaged in the service of the Lord, different devotees may be good at different things. So accordingly, if they are engaged, then the service can be done the best. Like say for example, somebody may be very good in cleaning the floor with the big rubber. I don't know how many of you know, when we do temple hall cleaning, some may be good at throwing the water in the temple. Some may be good at pulling the water from the corners. Some devotees may be good at taking a big stand and throwing the water to the pole. Correct? So different devotees can engage. Now if they exchange, what will happen? Instead of half an hour, it will become 1 hour. Correct? No? So that is called as discrimination. So whoever we should allow them to do whatever best they can do. Yeah, next. Next is something very nice, very important. Let us also see from Bhagavatam what it tells. Yeah, please repeat. Keha jala ai deya Mahaprabhura kare.
Keha jala ai deya Mahaprabhura kare.
Keha jala deya tar charana upare.
Keha jala deya tar charana upare.
Someone brought water, poured into the hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and someone poured water on his lotus.
So when they're doing the service, what are they doing? They're playing some pastimes. We call it as pastimes. They're having some fun. So while engaged in the service of the Lord, it is not wrong to have fun. Sometimes there are 3 kinds of karma, called 3 kinds of activities. It's called as Vihita karma, Kamya karma, and Nishida karma. See, Nishida karma is something which is supposed to be prohibited, and Vihita karma is something like very strict. Whatever the order has been given, that only has to be followed. But the tendency is, you see, just think about yourselves, say for, somebody makes a rule that, every day, what you call, you should not talk with anyone, you should not laugh with anyone, you should not, what you call, do something here and there with anyone. You have to know whatever the order has been given, only that you have to follow. Usually, you may think, oh, Prabhu, this may not be the case as such, but we see that in Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 20th verse number 21. I'll open the verse. There is something nice that one of the Navayogendras speak about this. See here, an expert horseman desiring to tame a headstrong horse first lets the horse have his way for a moment, and then pulling the reins gradually places the horse on the desired path. Similarly, the supreme yoga process is that by which one carefully observes the movements and desires of the mind and gradually brings them under full control. You see here what Prabhupada is writing? The disciples. Just as an expert rider immediately knows the propensities of an untamed horse and gradually brings the horse under control, an expert yogi allows the mind to reveal its materialistic propensities and then controls them through superior intelligence. A learned translator withholds and supplies sense objects so that the mind and senses remain fully controlled, just as the horseman sometimes pulls sharply on the reins and sometimes allows the horse to run freely. The rider never forgets his actual goal or destination and eventually places the horse on the right path. Similarly, a learned translation, even though sometimes allowing the senses to act, never forgets the goal of self-realization. Nor does he allow the senses to engage in sinful activity. Excessive austerity or restriction may result in great mental disturbance. Just as pulling excessively on the reins of a horse may cause the horse to rear up against the rider. Correct? Can you just think of, you are riding a horse. If you pull too much, you will see always, if the horses are standing only on back, hind legs, what will happen? What will happen? The charioteer will fall down. Correct? Na? If always wants to go at full speed, but it's not possible at all. You have to leave the horse sometime to run freely, and when you have to give them direction, you have to pull the reins. Similarly, the mind also is like say for example, if somebody thinks when I chant 16 rounds, even my legs pain or my hands pain, I'll not move the legs. Even if my head pain, 2 hours, I'll keep the head like that only. I'll not move the head. What will happen? He will do it for 1 day, 2 days, or 1 week. After that, you think, my God, Krishna consciousness is too austere. It's very, very difficult to practice. Or sometimes you pull on with so many services or so many engagements for months together. What will happen to the mind? It gets excessive austerity and restriction will happen. So sometimes it is okay if somebody engages in kamya desires. So now these kamya desires are those desires which are not sinful. It is as per the scriptures. But nishida karma or activities are those activities which fall under sinful activity. Like say, sometimes devotees go for yatras, or sometimes say devotees get off from their classes or whatever, and they may engage in self-reading of Prabhupada books, whichever they like. That book may not be as per this one. Like say sometimes they may like say Krishna book, they may read that book. Correct? No? So something like that. So that's something very important. So that is called as having fun in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes devotees may like, sometimes going for trekking, swimming, those things. That's fine once in a while. I mean, under guidance. Otherwise, you will tell Prabhuji, there is no swimming pool in. You have to tell. Please repeat. केह लुकाया करे से जल पाया,
केह लुकाया करे से जल पाना,
केह मागी लाया केह अन्य करे दाना.
केह मागी लया केह अन्य करे दाना.
Yeah, so the lesson that we can learn here is the same thing, what you call the water that fell from the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was drunk by someone who hid himself. Someone else begged for that water, and another person was giving that water in charity to others. Sometimes, what you call, they take something in return also for that charity. So enjoy your seva, relax while you work, lap up the mercy when it comes. Prabhupada amazingly writes, once we were engaged in the service in 2018 GBC service we had gone. There were around 23 Maharajas were present, and there were almost 40 disciples of Srila Prabhupada was present. So, I'm just telling, what you call, after they take, whole day they are there in the room. So usually, what you call, we get some remnants at the end of the day. So me, Abhishek Bro and Himanshu, the three devotees were there looking after that room. So what used to happen is, whole day they used to, what you call, engage meetings and all that used to go on. So at the end of the day, we have to wind up the whole seva there. We have to make the room clean and all that. So what will be there? Maha will be there. So one devotee was telling, no Prabhu, without asking, how can we take Prabhu? Then there is a purport in first canto, 5th chapter, where Prabhupada writes, without the permission of the spiritual master, one can take the remnants. I showed him this. Then he gulped the whole thing, whatever present there. So nice, what you call. We used to enjoy that seva. We were eager, when the day will come, and they used to come for taking fruits or nuts and all that. We used to give more. Why? Some Maha will come at the end of the day. So it's one. Next. It was very amazing during that time. In 18 days, the meetings were there. All the spiritual masters were present. Please repeat. निज वस्त्रे कैला प्रभु गृह सम्मार्जना,
निज वस्त्रे कैला प्रभु गृह सम्मार्जना,
महाप्रभु निज वस्त्रे माजिला सिंहासन,
महाप्रभु निज वस्त्रे माजिला सिंहासन. The
Lord mopped the rooms with his own clothes, and he polished the throne with them also. So this teaches us one should sacrifice all his possessions and everything in service. So when I was reading this, I just remember during Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur time, there was one devotee, I don't know the disciple name, he was a grihastha. When it was asked, when the temple, Calcutta temple has to be built, it is an instance where he sold his house and he purchased the marble for the temple in Calcutta and he built. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, I don't remember the name, it's very famous. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so happy. He was so happy with this, with this particular devotee that he gave up. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave him a house in the temple to stay with his wife. So that is called as sacrifice. And Prabhupada once said, I have sacrificed my long lifespan to spread Krishna consciousness so the devotees can be benefited. So if you see the whole life of Srila Prabhupada, it's also a sacrifice. We'll just read the shloka. Shatagata jale haila mandira marjana, mandira shodhiya kaila ena nijamana. In this way, all the rooms were cleansed with 100 pots. After the rooms had been cleansed, the minds of the devotees were as clean as the rooms. So this I was telling. So why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in this particular activity of Gundicha Marjan is our heart. It is said sometimes, what you call, the spirit soul is not able to see itself in the mirror of the mind, because the mirror of the mind, the dust covered on the mirror of the mind is sometimes kilometer thick. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer thick of dirt is accumulated. Now if a person stands in front of the mirror, can he see himself? He cannot see. So what he has to do? Cleansing. Sometimes, what you call, we tell that, though I am practicing Krishna consciousness for many, many years, but still, nothing is happening, because the dirt that is accumulated on the mind of the mirror is 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer. It's working. When you clean the room, which is not cleaned for so many years, what happens is, the dust rises up in the air. That time, all the poison, the persons in my God, so much dust is there. So we should not be bewildered. So by cleansing the temple by cleansing the temple of the Lord comes in the heart of the devotee and cleanses the heart. So there is a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam which tells, it tells that kalena na atidirgena bhagavan vishate riddhi.
Shraddhaya Nitya. Shrinvatam Shraddhaya Nitya.
Shrinvatam Shraddhaya Nitya Granatascha Swachestitam Kalena na Atidirgena Bhagavan Vishate Riddhi. So when we engage in the service of the Lord, hearing the pastimes of the Lord, or cleansing the temple of the Lord, that time the Lord comes personally and cleanses. So in the next 106 shloka it tells that Nirmala Shitala Snigdha Karila Mandire Apana Hridayena Dairila Bahire. When the temple was cleansed, it was purified, cool, pleasing, just as if the Lord's own pure mind had appeared. So as much, once Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, one of the greatest university principal, some kind of that person had come to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur to ask questions. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, you go to kitchen and wash the pots, and after to come and ask the question. So he went to wash the pots, and after washing the pots, he was so much absorbed in the service of washing the pots. What happened is his mind became purified and pleased. So by the time what happened is, when Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, do you have any questions now? No, all my questions has been answered. So if any questions you have, doubts you have in Krishna consciousness which are not been answerable, so please participate in Gundicha margin. What will happen by that is, all those doubts will be completely vanished from the heart, because Lord comes in the heart, Vishate and purifies that. To go a little bit faster. So in 108 shloka number. Yeah, please read translation.
Hundreds of devotees got water in the pots, and hundreds took the empty pots away to fill them up again.
So this verse teaches about cooperation. We should not have competition in the services when we do. Understanding all the services are absolute. Equal vision should be there for every seva, as every seva is on an absolute platform. No question of one seva higher than other, and therefore no refusal to do. Yeah, please read. With the exception.
With the exception of Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Swarup Damodar, Brahmananda Bharati, and Paramananda Puri, everyone who was engaged in filling the water pots and bringing them there.
We should not tell that, I am such a great person, I cannot catch the broomstick. It was not like that. All of them are very, very personal associate, but still they are engaged in the service of the Lord. So this is called as honesty in doing the services. Sometimes some managers are very good in delegating all the services, whatever they have, and they're even free hands. So that is not the one what has been expected. So this is called no cheating, duplicity or kam chori while doing services. Please read.
Many of the water pots were broken and people tolerated with one another, and hundreds of men had to bring new water pots to fill.
So when engaged in the service, there will be some time these kind of things will happen for sure. Correct? Water pots will break. Or the other meaning of this is what? See, when we are engaged in this, there will be something which we may not be tolerable to what that person is. We may tell him to clean like this, he may do in the other way. We may tell him to, Prabhu, you please, do this, he may do in the other way that. So this teaches us to be tolerant. So one should be ready to tolerate losses, problems, accidents, or unwanted situations in the service. Please read.
Some people were filling the pots and others were washing the rooms. But everyone was engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and Hari.
So while engaged in the service of the Lord, one should not engage in prajalpa. They should not talk something else. Rather, you see here, they were always engaged in chanting the holy names of Krishna and Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please read this.
One person begged for a water pot by chanting the holy name Krishna, Krishna, and another delivered a pot while chanting Krishna,
Krishna. So while performing a seva, service, one should not indulge in pradalpa. There should be only Krishna conscious section. So what do we do is we put kirtan, sometimes while cleaning usually. Or in the other services, one person is expected to be Krishna consciousness. Please read.
A ship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was celebrating the holy name of Krishna in ecstatic love. He himself was performing the work of hundreds of men.
So see here, this is very important. Was vibrating the holy name of Krishna in ecstasy. He himself was performing the work of hundreds of. So this is called as expertise. Expertise means what? A devotee sees activity in Krishna consciousness not in terms of results, but in terms of how is advancing in Krishna consciousness. So this is called as Nishkama Seva Bhava. That one does not have to be passionate to be productive. Rather, the results come when we automatically take shelter of the Lord. So that's what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaching here. So another 4 more lessons are there. We'll end up there. Please read.
It appeared as though Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were pleasing and washing with the 100 hands. He approached every devotee just to teach him how to.
So a devotee, a leader, or what you call a servant leader, does not mean he is an expert in doing the things. No, he trains the other devotees or say others in whatever good he is at. Correct? So this is called as training. So training is very important in Krishna consciousness. So when we train the devotees, say who are serving under us or who are good at other things, we can learn, and whatever we good at, we can teach other things. Then what happens is, this if you see, this Gundicha margin has been coming from so many years, correct? No? So this is called as training. So the what happens is, the statement is called as each one teach one. Hard work and expertise is not just sufficient. Only when you teach and train, the effectiveness comes. Otherwise, what you call, you may be good at doing one particular thing, but others, if they are not trained, what will happen if you are not there? That whole department will collapse. Correct, no? Rashmapur tells that, that say if you don't teach others to do the services, when you pass out of the center or whatever, you also drag the shutter down and close the voice and come off if you don't train the people. So it's very important. Sometimes you sit at like same thing Srila Prabhupada did. He trained his disciples in such a way that they are carrying the moment, and those are training the other devotees. So skills are taught by simulation. Do not discriminate while teaching. Equal vision to everyone else. So 17th lesson is, please repeat. Bhala karma dekita re kare par प्रशंसना
भला कर्म देखिता रे करे प्रशंसना
मनना मिलिले करे पवित्र वर्चना
मनना मिलिले करे पवित्र वर्चना.
When he saw someone doing nicely, the Lord praised him. But if he saw that someone was not working to his satisfaction, he immediately chastised that person, not bearing him any grudge.
So if somebody does any mistake, it's important to give a, we call it as, very nicely called as room for improvement. Or the other side of it, it's called as feedback, giving feedback. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving feedback how to do service. So his feedback is not like in a way to put down the person, it was to encourage the person. So he's telling that, chastise the person, not bearing any grudge, not bearing him with any grudge, not any envious. So encourage, praise sincerely. Chastise others, not working up to satisfaction. Praise with detachment, or chastise with detachment without any grudge. Last shloka. Please repeat. Tumi bhala kariya chashikahanye re.
Tumi bhala kariya chashikahanye.
Mata bhala karma se ho yeh kare.
Mata bhala karma se ho yeh kare.
Lord would say, you have done well. Please teach this to others so that they may act in the same way.
So this is called as, what you call, giving equal opportunity to everyone else. Correct, no? So he's giving protection of the less skilled by teaching them and giving them a chance to be elevated. So this is called playing game. Please repeat. Ekata shuniya sabe shankuchita hayya. Bhalamate karma kare sabe man diya.
Bhalamate karma kare sabe man diya.
As soon as they heard Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say this, everyone became ashamed. Thus the devotees began to work with great attention. Correct? So as soon as you get to know what you can improve up, it's a good thing that we can work on that and advance more and more. So experts work vigorously while less experts learn. So no one is higher, everyone is in learning state. So exchange of skills avoid complacency and hopelessness. So like this, what happened is, all the devotees, they washed the Jagannath area, and then the place where food was kept, all over the places, they also were washed. In this way, the meeting place was washed, the entire yard, the raised sitting places, the kitchen, and every other room. So whatever was there, so everything they thoroughly cleaned. And in this way, what you call, the next day itself, the Lord, what you call, Jagannath came there. So what you call, no, we see here once when Amoga was suffering with cholera after criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and eating so much, he was suffering with cholera and suffering with so much of pain. So that time when this Amoga was lying there on the bed, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked there, so what happened is, he called out to Lord, "Oh Mahaprabhu, you are Patita Pavana, please help me, please save me from this." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes there and sits, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells to him, "Amoga, how come this dirt of envy or anartha has come in your heart? So I am unable to see you suffering like this. Please, take this holy name of the Lord and cleanse yourself." And during that time, when Amoga called out the holy name of the Lord, he became free from all that dirt. So through this Gundicha Marjana, the Lord is teaching us that it's very important as a Gaudiya Vaishnava to follow in this parampara of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to engage in the cleansing of this temple, which represents the same as cleansing the heart of our, cleaning of our heart, and the Lord on the next day is welcomed in our heart in the form of Jagannath. So Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Shri Gundicha Marjan ki Jai. So I'd like to conclude here. Any devotees have any clarification? So I hope all devotees will be present today afternoon at 1:30. So we'll be having Gundicha Marjan. Riva.
Krishna Prabhu, I was reading in Bhagavatam that like Vasudev, Lord Krishna appeared in his mind, and he transferred, like Lord Krishna transferred himself from mind of Vasudev to Devaki. Krishna Prabhu writes in the purport that initiation happens the same, like spiritual master gives Krishna to the disciple in initiation.
Where purport writes?
In purport. In that purport, Vasudev, like mind from the mind of Krishna, where Krishna went from the mind of Vasudev to Devaki. And then Lord Krishna then came to the heart of Devaki.
Yes.
So like by cleaning the temple also, Lord Krishna comes to the heart of devotee.
Yes. We have a verse in Bhagavatam. What is it?
What's it?
Vidunoti Surutsata Abhadra Shushruto Shaddanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. No, not that, before that. Shunvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Surutsatam. So same verse, same thing is that what you call Shunvatam Swakata Krishna. That when one engages in the service of the Lord, Katha of the Lord is what is meant. But here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying even cleansing the temple all of the Lord. So Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi Abhadrani. Whatever the abhadras that are there in the heart, all the anarthas, whatever is there, Vidunoti Surutsatam. The Lord comes personally inside and washes. Vidunoti literally means, when you put surf powder and wash it with the brush. So it's like that the Lord comes inside and cleanses. Vidunoti Surutsatam. Then the devotee becomes Satam, a pure devotee. That's the same thing.
Same thing. Same thing like.
Yeah, same thing, whatever is same thing. When we engage in the service of the Lord, the Lord comes and purifies. That's why this pastime is representing that term. Minions. Any other question? Nice. This is Gundicha temple. No, Gundicha temple is what? See, usually Jagannath will go from the Dwaraka, the Jagannath Puri, where the temple is there. This is considered as Dwaraka, and Gundicha temple, this is considered as Vrindavan. So just like how when Lord had gone to Kurukshetra, that time when he saw, when the gopis saw, after 100 years, that Krishna has come back. So they invited the Lord back to the Vrindavan, where they considered their heart itself as Vrindavan. They said, please come in my heart. So same thing is shown here in the form of Ratha Yatra, where we ask the Lord to come. But we cannot ask the Lord to come and sit in a place where it is dirty. It has to be cleansed. So our heart has to be cleansed. So that Gundicha temple is considered to be as Vrindavan. It's in the Puri, Jagannath Puri only. If you go straight from the Jagannath Puri temple, it comes. But it was closed. Last 2 years it has been closed because of pandemic. It was not open. We could not go recently when we had gone to Jagannath Puri. It was closed. Now it will be open. This Gundicha temple is the place where Lord Jagannath comes and sits for I think almost 1 week. I think. After 1 week again he comes back. And Lakshmi Devi comes to Gundicha and asks him to come. There's a fight that happens. So many things. That will be covered on Ratha Yatra day. It happens usually as per Tithi or as per time. It happens 1 or 2 days before this one. But because what you call Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, devotees will not be available. Because of working day. So we are having it on Sunday. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
उल्टा लगा
So let us thank Vijay Prabhu for enumerating nice, wonderful lesson.